This is Late Night Health. This is the radio show that cares about the most important part of your life, your health. During the next hour, the insane Daryl Wayne and I are going to take a look at a number of different health topics that touch each and every one of us. At the end of our show, wrapping up today's program, we'll be talking with Robert Clancy about uncertain times. We'll find out what that means. We'll also be talking with the owner of a small Chinese herb shop in Thousand Oaks, where I live. I just was fascinated because it's hidden and it's been there for years and years and years, and I never even knew about it. We'll talk with Mo about his store, The Healing Tree, and we're going to go to the Washington, D.C. area, Maryland, to speak with Dr. Mark Ratner. And we're going to be talking about a couple of things, Prilosec, and we'll talk about Metformin as well. Dr. Ratner, welcome to Late Night Health.
Thank you, Mark. Pleasure to be with you.
Look forward to this, and I can tell already multiple times on the show. Prilosec is where we'll start. Prilosec is if you have acid reflux on a regular basis, it can help with that. You had a personal story, and you called yourself a prisoner of Prilosec. Can you explain that to us?
Yeah. So, Prilosec it's an acid reduction medication, and we call that type of medication a PPI, a proton pump inhibitor. Prilosec is also known by its generic name, which is omeprazole. I've been taking Prilosec for about 20 years, and I started on it because I had pretty bad heartburn, acid reflux. It was just a chronic problem. A well-meaning internist got me started on it, and the reason I'm a prisoner is because, unfortunately, and anybody who's been on a PPI medication for more than a few months will have experienced this. Once you're taking it, trying to stop it is near impossible. If you stop taking it, you get what we call a rebound acid production. So you go from from no acid production in your stomach, and that's how it works to make you feel better, to acid production that is just off the charts, and you just basically feel like you want to die. It's just horrible. People just can't stop taking the medication once they've been on it for a long time. So that's why I said I'm a prisoner of Prilosec.
I've personally taken it, but I only take it for 2 days, maybe 3, and I stop. And then it'll be months before I try it again. Is that a better way of...
That's fine. And in fact, that's the safe way to take it. But unfortunately, something like 15, 16 million people in the United States take it every day, take it chronically. And, that used to be by prescription only, but now you can get any one of these PPI medications. There's Prilosec, which is also called omeprazole. There's also Nexium and Prevacid. These are all in the same class.
Zantac too?
Of medications. They all suppress acid production in your stomach, and you can get any of them over the counter now. And, the over-the-counter medication will say, hey, you're supposed to only take this for 2 weeks, but people just keep taking it. And I'm guilty of that as well. And so what happened to me was about 5 years ago, I woke up in the middle of the night, and my heart was just pounding out of my chest. Something wasn't right. I knew it immediately. I didn't have to be a doctor to know that. So we zoomed over to the emergency room, and they gave me some medication that corrected the abnormal rhythm of my heart. And they did some blood tests, and the only thing they found was that my magnesium level was very low. And the doctor looked over my medications, and he said, how long have you been taking the omeprazole? And I said, a long time, years and years and years. He said, well, that's probably what did it. That'll lower your magnesium level, and that can trigger an abnormal heart rhythm. So I learned my lesson, and as hard as I tried to get off the Prilosec, I still couldn't. So I started to supplement magnesium. I mean, that's sort of the way I've dealt with this issue.
I've talked to NDs, naturopathic doctors, and they say that the symptomology of acid reflux may not be too much acid, but potentially could be low acid. Have you heard that?
Well, the problem that causes acid reflux is not the acid. I mean, we're supposed to have acid in our stomach. It helps us digest our food. The problem is that the muscle at the bottom of your food tube, which we call, the esophagus or food tube, there's a circular muscle where that food tube joins the stomach. And that muscle is supposed to stay closed at all times. This is called a sphincter until food comes through it from above. But in some people, that muscle is weak, and it allows the acidic contents of the stomach to reflux back upwards into the food tube and up into your throat even. And that's what we call heartburn. And so the point is, it's not the presence of acid that's the problem. It's the sphincter muscle, that round muscle that's too weak. The reason why taking the acid suppression medication makes you feel better is because the reflux hasn't gone away. You just don't feel it. You just can't sense the acid because it's not acidic anymore. So that's part of the reason why you can get these nutritional deficiencies. The absence of acid in the stomach, because you're taking this PPI, this Prilosec or any of the others, long term for months, you can basically develop two different nutritional deficiencies. One is vitamin B12, and the other is magnesium. And magnesium is the problem that put me in the emergency room that night. And interestingly, I subsequently had my B12 checked, and it was a little low as well. So, this is a very common occurrence.
And so we have to be...
I'm sorry, say it again.
We have to be careful when you're taking this and supplement then. I mean, we know that vitamin D levels are at an all-time low throughout the country. We don't sit in the sun anymore, and if we do, if we're at the beach, we slather ourselves with sunblock, which is good to prevent skin cancer, yet it also prevents vitamin D production.
Exactly.
Does Prilosec affect vitamin D levels, do you know?
No, it won't. It won't. I mean, vitamin D we make in our skin, and we make it in response to ultraviolet light. And so sun exposure is how we are supposed to get our vitamin D. There actually aren't very good sources of vitamin D in our diet, really not that much. We're supposed to be making our own vitamin D in response to sun exposure, but as you pointed out, the dermatologists tell us stay out of the sun and put on that sunblock if you're ever out in the sun. So you're right, it's absolutely rampant vitamin D deficiency in the United States.
Our guest is Dr. Mark Ratner. He's the Chief Science Officer for Prilosec. They're a supplement company. We'll talk about that in a minute when we come back. I have to just tell you that a Buddy Hackett story, he used to say that he always had acid reflux and heartburn because his mother was such a bad cook, and he went into the Army and he went to the doctor. He went into the medics. He said, what happened? All that burning, all that, it's gone. He actually liked the food served in the service.
I've heard that story before. That's a great story.
pretty funny.
Yes, yes. It's Eastern European diets.
Yes, exactly. You, Buddy Hackett, and I all grew up on the same diet. Our guest is Dr. Mark Ratner, and we are talking about Prilosec. We're going to take some time out, do some business with Daryl, and when we come back, we're going to talk about Metformin. We've talked about Metformin in the past. We'll actually give you a place to get Metformin, What You Need to Know, Dr. Ratner's free book. In fact, he has another free book, Heartburn, Acid Reflux, and GERD, G-E-R-D. We'll talk about that as Late Night Health continues. Join Daryl and me at latenighthealth.com. That's latenighthealth.com. Don't go away as Late Night Health moves forward. Late Night Health is proud of our partnership with the EBC, the Evolutionary Business Council. Check them out at ebcouncil.com.
You're listening to Late Night Health with Mark Alyn. The show continues in a moment.
Recently, I met Jacqueline from Bright here in Los Angeles. She gave me a hearing exam and then showed me how to hear again with the new Signia Pure Series hearing aids, and she can give you your life back too. I hear birds chirping, birds cooing, and even my wife. They easily connect to my smartphone. The Signia hearing aids are amazing, and with the charge and go, I don't have to fiddle with batteries and hear all day long. Not hearing is frustrating for you and your family. I know you don't have a problem, but trust me, call Bright Here now for a free hearing exam, a $125 value, yours free, just for making an appointment now. There are offices throughout the Los Angeles area. Call Bright Here now at 323-424-7100. That's 323-424-7100 for a free hearing exam. There's no obligation. Call now, 323-424-7100, or visit them on the web at brighthere.com.
If you're listening to Late Night Health right now, you're part of the growing target of baby boomers we're serving. Hi, I'm Daryl Wayne, producer of Late Night Health, inviting you to join the Late Night Health family. If you have any business targeting the growing boomer market, Late Night Health is the ideal advertising vehicle for you. From vitamins to insurance, alternative health to Western-style medicine, Late Night Health caters to the growing population of those over 40 years old. This vibrant demographic has expendable income to fight aging, purchase travel, take care of aging parents, or just have fun. Find out about the advertising opportunities with Late Night Health. Call us at 805-391-0308. That's 805-391-0308, or email us at info@latenighthealth.com. That's info@latenighthealth.com. Join Late Night Health as we empower people to take charge of their own health care. Call now at 805-391-0308. That's 805-391-0308.
Welcome to Guide to the Soul. This is Robert Clancy. You are a beautiful masterpiece of celestial art. God sculpted your body, painted your portrait, and forged your blessed soul from the stardust. As with any masterwork, you may weather with age or get damaged a bit along the way. But doesn't that add to your beauty and mystique? Don't ever change who you are. You're loved and cherished in heaven just the way you are. Of all the challenges you've faced in life, you can be only made better for them. The greatest masterworks on earth have all been ravaged by the tests of time, only to become more revered in their inherent beauty. Always know you're one of God's masterworks meant to shine in that same way.
For more inspiration from Robert Clancy, visit guidetothesoul.com or go to the Moments with Robert page on latenighthealth.com.
Sometimes it's not what you say, it's how you say it. Words are a critical aspect of success. How you get your point across is a crucial part of what makes anything sell. So do it right and hire a writer. Whether it's articles, blog posts, technical writings, website content, product descriptions, or ghostwriting anything from a novel to a nonfiction book about your navel, contact Servet Hassan. If you want it to sell, write it right. Email Servet at servet@servethassan.com.
Late Night Health continues. I'm Mark Alyn, along with the insane Daryl Wayne. Our guest is Dr. Mark Ratner. I have a question for Daryl.
Yes, sir.
Are you on? You've taken Prilosec.
I've taken all of those. I actually use Acifex, and it works fantastic for me. It's just a miracle. But before the insurance company would pay for it, they had me cycle through Zantac, Prilosec, whatever the one that started with a C was a long time ago. I had to try all those for each of them for 90 days before they'd actually give me the prescription.
I hate insurance companies, and they won't. They don't pay for supplements that you need that Dr. Ratner and I are talking about. For example, magnesium. Do you find that rather strange, Mark, Dr. Ratner?
Well, I mean, these are issues, these nutrient deficiencies that can be caused by medications are not that well understood, especially even by the physicians who are prescribing these medications. You could make the argument that if I had been taking a supplement with B12 and magnesium prior to when I ended up in the emergency room, it would have saved, and the insurance company had paid for that, it would have saved them a lot of money because I wouldn't have ended up in the emergency room that night. But nevertheless, you're right. They generally do not pay for supplements. The good thing, though, is that magnesium and B12 are relatively inexpensive. We've actually produced a product which is called Remplir, R-E-M-P-L-I-R. Remplir is it's actually the French word for replenish, so it's easy to remember. But and it's like under 40 cents a day to get high absorption B12 and magnesium. So for anybody who's at a risk for these kinds of nutrient deficiencies, it's simple, it's easy, it's not very expensive to kind of keep yourself out of trouble.
Well, we'll get a.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
We'll get the website. I guess it's Theralogics.com. Is that the place to go?
Theralogics.com is our company's website, and we've got for folks that are listening and are interested in getting more information. We've got a couple of we have 2 ebooks that I wrote. One about Metformin and kind of dealing with those issues, which is just metforminhelp.org, O-R-G. And then the same thing for folks that are taking PPIs chronically, people who have acid reflux or what we call GERD, G-E-R-D, that's gastroesophageal reflux disease. And that website is just ppihelp.org.
Got it.
Kind of easy to read ebooks that'll kind of give you some perspective on what you need to be doing if you're taking these medications on a regular basis.
All right, let's take a look at Metformin. And I've already invited Dr. Ratner to come back in about a month. We'll arrange that, and we'll talk about other things, granddaughters included. 2 days old. Isn't that life-changing? Forget Metformin, forget Prilosec. Let's talk about life. Holding that baby for the first time is just life-altering.
No doubt, absolutely. And it was very special. I mean, we, kind of had listen, as a doc, I'm sort of too aware of all the things that can go wrong. So I was real nervous about my daughter, and she's actually a doc up in Baltimore. She's a newly minted pediatrician, so she wasn't worried. I was worried. It's a tough time with COVID and vaccines and everything else. It's a tough time to be pregnant. But not quite everything went fine, and she and the baby are doing great.
Well, I again, mazel tov on that. Let's talk about Metformin for our remaining time. I've talked to a number of people over the years about Metformin. One of the issues with Metformin is that the longer you take it, the more you need to keep your sugar levels balanced. Is that true or not? And is Metformin basically a good prescription, a good drug?
So Metformin is the first-line medication used for people who have type 2 diabetes. And, diabetes comes in 2 basic types. It's type 1 and type 2. People who have type 2, they tend to be older. They tend to be overweight. And the problem for people with type 2 diabetes is not that they don't make insulin. that's type 1. If your pancreas stops making insulin, that's type 1 diabetes. People who have type 2 diabetes, their pancreas is making insulin, but their body's cells can't use it. They've developed what's called insulin resistance, and their cells cannot use the insulin properly. So the purpose of metformin is to help the cells start to use insulin better. So it increases what we call insulin sensitivity, reducing insulin resistance, and it keeps your blood sugar levels down. So it's been around for 50 years. I mean, metformin is not a new drug. It's generic, and it's something that once you start taking, you stay on it. I mean, because yes, you can. Sometimes people can lose plenty of weight, and they can get their diabetes under control using diet and lifestyle, where they weight loss and exercise, and maybe they can get off the metformin. But if not, then you stay on the metformin. And it is the first-line drug that's used. It's inexpensive. It's generally safe, but it can also cause those same 2 nutrient deficiencies that we talked about, magnesium and B12. And it's even more prevalent. There was a study done in Australia back in 2013, I think. They looked at, I think, close to 1,000 people, type 2 diabetics, who were taking metformin. 19% of them had low magnesium levels. And magnesium is important for your heart rhythm. It's important. If your magnesium level gets really low, you can get seizures, you can get muscle spasms. I mean, low magnesium can be life-threatening. And even more than close to, I think, 22% of people in the 2019 study who were on metformin had low B12. And B12 is important to make blood, okay? So if your B12 level gets low, you can become anemic, and you can also develop neuropathy. So keeping your B12 level normal is real important. It used to be thought, you got to go in for a shot, and doctors used to give a lot of B12 shots. But today we know that you can just supplement B12, and you're going to absorb it from your stomach, and you can avoid deficiencies of this type.
Can't you, we're not going to be able to talk about the new research on metformin regarding longevity. Maybe we'll do that on our next conversation. But what I'm interested in is the fact that you need more and more and more. And
look, I never actually, because I was my practice was male reproductive medicine, so I treated male fertility patients, and I wasn't an internist, so I didn't really treat patients with diabetes. But my understanding is that metformin dosing basically can stay relatively stable over time. But it's not necessarily the increased dose; it's how long you've been taking it that determines whether or not you're more likely to get one of these nutrient deficiencies.
Got it.
And so the longer you stay on it, the greater your risk. But look, otherwise it's a really good drug. So, and it's certainly, I want to make really clear, nobody who's been on a prescription medication should make any changes to their daily medication regimen without talking to their doctor first.
Absolutely. We are, Doc, we're out of time. You will come back. I've already said you will. So
absolutely.
I really enjoyed our time together. If you want information, I think the easiest place to go would be to go to the company website. And could you give us that, please, one more time?
Sure. It's Prilosec.com. It's THERALOGIX.com. And the supplement that we've been talking about, B12 and magnesium, is called Remclear. But happy to come back, and we can talk about a lot of other interesting stuff as well.
I look forward, and we'll find out more about babies and grandkids as well. Dr. Mark Ratner has been our guest. I'm Mark Alyn. Join us at latenighthealth.com. That's latenighthealth.com, and you can also check us out at podclips.io. That's podclips.io. Daryl and I come back in just a couple of moments as Late Night Health continues.